Okay, so you are going to start adding your sculptural elements to your slab base. And it depends on what you're making. You may have to watch some hollowed form videos if you're going large. You may be watching pinch or coil or sculpting videos. What I'm working on here specifically are roses, and so I thought it would be neat for you to kind of see how to build one of these and make them look realistic. So I start by pinching. I don't care that my ends are wavy or they're not really straight. And so I just start kind of spiraling that in on itself. If you've ever watched cake artists work with fondant, um, you can relate a lot of that to what you can do in clay. You'll often see like cake artists or pumpkin sculptors using clay tools, which I think is really fascinating. So, um, watch some cooking shows, you'll get some cool ideas. So I'm just kind of pinching, and I don't even mind that they're splitting or cracking a little bit because I think that adds to the piece. And then I can just continue to work with small amounts of clay. And I'm not really scoring or slipping because I'm going to pinch these together and smush them and smooth them out really well. So long as I'm doing that, then I don't have to score and slip. But if you're just placing things on top of each other and not like really pinching the clay bodies together and kind of smoothing them into one form, then your pieces will fall apart. And I can take these out as far as I want. I could make this like a really full open bloom. I could have ones with just a couple layers so they look like they're just starting to bloom. You could even do something cool with them wilting. And so remember, what you're doing is you're thinking about placement. You're thinking about how many sculptural elements you want to add and perhaps like the relationship with those or how they tie into your piece. So if you remember back to my sketches, one of my ideas for my slab vase was to create a slab shape that reminded me of a vertebrae. And then I started thinking about like adding like little sculptures of different types of bones throughout my piece. So you can think about a relationship between the two. And your sculptural element does not have to be related to anything Greek whatsoever. We were looking at Greek vases just for some shape inspiration. It could be related to something Greek if you wanted it to be, but it does not have to be. So even though my ends do have some cracks in them, I think that lends to like the natural look of the petals. I just kind of go around and like touch up and just rub the very edges of them so they're not sharp and they're just rounded a little bit. So you do want to keep in mind not having sharp edges. First of all, your glaze will break there and it will be rough in the bisque fire, but it'll also feel rough and bumpy in your glaze firing because you will be doing traditional bucket glazes on your radiating slab bases. So now I'm going to start to kind of look at placement and think about balance in proportion. So it could be interesting to perhaps add flowers or whatever your sculptural element is into the negative space. So if you have negative space on each slab, that could be cool. I like to work in the rule of thirds. So I have 3 roses that I'm going to place near the top. And then I'm going to place them on the opposite side on the bottom because I feel like that balances out my piece. I like the rule of thirds. I like them being different sizes. And you want to keep your slab soft enough that you can score and slip. So you should be able to mark into the clay relatively easy with your pin tool, and then score and slip your rose or whatever your sculptural element is into your piece. So I'm going to use some pressure and actually kind of push it into the sculpture. I don't just want to lightly place it because generally speaking, those pieces will start to fall off. So I'm going to be pushing, I'm going to be adding little tiny coils to kind of blend the attachment areas so my roses don't fall off. And so it can be a little bit tricky to get in there, and you might need to use your modeling knife or another tool to blend that attachment. Some of these roses I've left pretty long on the bottom portion so they could fit within my spaces of my slab pieces. Some of them I cut down a little bit so they weren't as lengthy. I do have some banding wheels. So the blue wheel that I'm working on is a banding wheel. And if you would like one of my plastic banding wheels, I have a few of those that you could work with.